cover letters to meet. Your follow-up letter is the one where you can really take those specifics following the meeting and saying, you know, this actually happened to me. I came out of an interview with my current job, and I was like, I bombed it. You know? And my response letter was, you know, I forgot what the issue was, but I just remember bombing it. And I'm going to look it up when I get home, as they say these. I responded to her and said, you know, I know that we quite didn't circle in on this, and I want to circle back with you. And I can't do this because of this reason. You know? And so that's the opportunity to really get specific. But the worst thing is cover letters that are Pepsi commercials.
Unless you're applying for Pepsi.
But just really, you know, when they're so like, oh, this is over the top and so not honest.
Keep it clean, keep it simple. I think it's very, very important. And I think the other thing that everyone and all the other panelists are saying as well is that you're not going to have just one cover letter. You have to tailor it specifically to every single employer that you're sending it out to. So keep that in mind. I think the general idea is important. It's all the same. It's just going to be the same introduction and try to get your foot in the door with them. But it's going to be different for every single, company or application that you're submitting. I know it takes time, but it's an investment, and it's your introduction for them for you to really grab their attention. We have a question.
I want to know that in our resume we write our strengths, but also we have the weaknesses. So since we cannot write our weaknesses into the resume, and to be the right person for the company, we need to experience some failure and try to learn about these experiences, try to learn about these mistakes, and don't repeat it then. So basically, in the cover letter, you want us to write that some part of our failure and how we experience them, because there is no one to be the right person without making mistakes.
I was saying that is to keep in your back pocket, because you may be asked the question, tell me about a time when you failed. So when you're interviewing, so the ability to share mistakes and how you grew and learned is to be discussed when you're meeting in person, not in your cover letter.
Never show weakness until you're forced to deal with it. And it's not a weakness. It's an adversity that you overcame. It's not a weakness.
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge that you rose to.
Right.
Because it is hard to say what would be the good answer if you ask me to what is my weakness. It is easy to say my strength.
I smile too much. You need to be creative. It may be a weakness, and it can be a little tension breaker, but as Alex said, you don't want to give too much of a joking answer unless the atmosphere allows it, but have something that's real. Give them a real example, but you always counter a weakness with how you overcame it. If you throw a weakness out there and you leave it there, they're waiting for you to actually, I remember sitting there leaning forward slowly, waiting for me to talk about how they got caught for, no, I can't say it, but what they did. I was waiting for them to tell me how they corrected the problem and it never happened again. Does that make sense?
It's all about your delivery, too. If you ask me what my weakness is, my strength might be my attention to detail. My weakness, maybe at times, because I'm so detailed, I spend a little more time, so I have to make sure that I manage the time that I spend on the project. So it's all in your delivery. So I'm giving you a weakness, but I'm delivering and I'm telling you that I know what it is and I know how to overcome it. So that's really what you're going to focus on.
And the solution to her weakness may actually be a strength you're looking for you to think of, where she's saying, my attention to detail may take me a little longer on the project, but it helps me with ABC, and time management comes in, and I'm able to refocus myself and get back on point. So you may actually take that weakness answer, turn it into a strength, and answer another question they have to ask.
What's your name?
Old.
Ove?
O-G-U-Z, old.
O's.
Yeah.
Share with us a weakness you have. So you're interviewing for, what are you studying?
MBA marketing.
Marketing. Okay, so welcome to the marketing assistant position. Share with us a moment that you failed.
I am too ambitious, and if I don't achieve it, I get mad.
continue that. And he's gonna
I'm leaning forward here.
Remember delivery.
so,
Think of what you say also, and what your answer is, and I know this is really tough, but you gotta practice before you go. Think about what's topical too, because if you make a comment like, I came to work, or I do this at work and I get angry, the first thing I think of is what happened at a work in Long Beach yesterday, 2 days ago. I'm thinking, I know it's a horrible thing to bring up, and I apologize, only because of the situation, but it's real in that that was the first thing that came to my mind. So when you leave something like I get angry out there, I don't have one back.
How about the two ambitious part?
Okay, maybe that's you might word it different. Too ambitious might, to me, sounds a little contrived. Like you came up with it, you were ready for that, and that's the answer you came with. But there was no follow-up. So now I know you're just throwing it out.
So you're a high achiever, and you really try to deliver the best you can, and sometimes when you can't, it causes you frustration. You know, that's how I would put that. So it really shows an example of the importance of having those mock interviews and sit down with your friends and answer this question over and over. So you're a high achiever, and you're demanding on yourself, and you know, when you don't achieve those standards, it frustrates you.
I'm my own worst critic. So now that suggests that you are able to rein yourself in and look at a project or a product that you put out and say, that's not good enough, I can fix that. That's the connotation.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Because of the way that the market is, and it's very global, so it applies to both students.
What do you mean by the way the market is?
Well, I mean the job market, I should say.
Meaning what?
Meaning that there are a lot of people out of work, and let's say, you know, especially for those who are, let's say, in school or are trying to market themselves better by going to school. So let's say they have a gap in their job employment. And what we're finding, and what I've been reading about, is that there have been a lot of employers, at least here in the States, that have tend to discriminate against those who do not have a current job. So how would you say, or what would you suggest that someone do to overcome that?
We see that in our field because we're talking directly to the client. So on any given week, myself and Judy and April, we're talking face to face with the clients. But on the direct hire side, which is the line of business Gigi and I work on, we will submit resumes. And I had a great candidate who went to graduated from USC with his undergrad, went to UCLA to get his master's, and then he did a stint at Disney and at Fox. Then after he finished at Fox, he took that 2 years and went to get his master's full time, and then he did a stint at another organization. But when I present his resume, he's a great candidate. They always go back to that. Why did he leave a great job to go back to school and get his master's? And that has been the bottleneck in terms of me getting him out, and I sell him and I say, he's a great candidate, you got to at least meet him or phone screen him. But they pass on that just because he took some time out to go back to school. Now, every client is different. Some clients, they don't mind. Some clients is a big stickler with them. HR. So every client is different. And what we sell them is that they went back to a program and wanted to do the best they could. Here's their GPA, and they did this, that, and the other while they were in the program full time. And they were involved in some of the school projects. They got involved on outside, community events and whatnot. They just weren't sitting around doing homework and going to school and having fun. So they did get involved in some extracurricular activities related to their field, but it can be difficult.
But you have to keep current. I think 2 years, to me, is not current. So I could see if you've been out of, like in grad school for a year, or if it's longer, be able to. A year's okay. full-time, but 2 years is okay too, but show that you've been current. So, for example, if you're in finance and the IMA,
The IMA,
Yeah.
you've been involved in the IMA or the AICPA, you've been involved in.
going to these, getting continuing education credits, as sort of CPE credits, attending the seminars, keeping current, maybe doing a project in the field, so you're current.
The other thing I'll add to that too is the job market is tough. It's competitive. However, as far as, you guys are enrolled in school, some of you are going to be graduating soon, that's still something that employers are still looking for. I mean, it's still in high demand. So yes, it's competitive, but if you have history, you have to really sell yourself. Again, your cover letter, explain that. If you know it's going to be an issue or it's a concern, ahead of time, put it in your cover letter, address it right up front. That you know it, but explain it. You can make a quick explanation on it too.
Yeah, the temp to hire route, and when I meet candidates who've been out for 2 years, who went back to school, I always ask them, are you open to doing a temp to hire? Because a lot of the clients, and I had a client locally about a week and a half ago, we had an offer for a candidate of mine, and great candidate, but because he was out of work, just simply out of work for the last 3 months, they only wanted to go temp to hire. So if he was a working candidate and we were, he was leaving, one seat to go to another, they would bring him on as a direct hire. But so you got to be prepared for that as well. Are you willing to take a temp to hire assignment?
I think it's more than anything, just be flexible.
Yeah.
Just be flexible and don't close the door just because it's not, the traditional route that you're taking. Right? But it's not, it's not as bad as the news makes it seem. I mean, people are starting to hire again. Companies are bringing people on board. So it's just a matter of, it's going to be an issue, just address it up front, put it on your cover letter, and then.
Yeah, those numbers are skewed. The unemployment rate, there's a lot that goes into the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate also takes groups of populations of students or who are not in the workforce. But for accounting and finance, it's 2%.
Graduate degrees from a top school like Brookings and Laverne. And by the way, if I would suggest you also learn a few important messaging bullets about the University of Laverne. Everybody may not know it. Thunderbird, which is a school I went to, half the people don't know it. More than half, 90% of people don't know the school. I remember being in the city down the street at a gas station trying to find the school, and the gas station guy didn't know where it was. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I was panicked. But, Thunderbird's #1 in the world for international finance. It's rated by Forbes and by Wall Street Journal and by the Financial Times. Boom. It's a boutique school, it's specialized international. So do the same thing with University of Laverne so that the quality of your institution, the quality of your education, the fact that you have a master's degree, wow. So when you see, that's why when I was pushing a little bit on your question, when you say that the way it is, I'm like, oh no, we're looking for good people, especially out of school, because they're cheaper.
Well, it came out, recently, it is obviously some sort of problem because it's even being addressed by the president as we're finding that employers are just straight discriminating against people who are out of work for a certain period of time as opposed to someone who currently has a position. They're more likely to hire that person who currently has a position as opposed to hiring.
So rather than focus on which, you're looking at the situation and going, and circulating in it, how are you approaching that response? Again, you've got a good education from a quality institution. You've got ability to do some role plays and practice. So the situation probably is really tough for people who don't have an education or deep skill sets. So.
And it's a very vague statement when you look at it because there's a lot of people out there, and